Well, a very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. Remember, this is Kenya's most comprehensive political and public governance analysis show. And of course, I'm glad to have you on board. I'm yours truly, Evans Okenyi, and I'm here with Wakili Willis Otieno. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
How was your long weekend?
The weekend was good, yes.
We are here definitely in this country. The president is back in the country with a lot of goodies for us as a nation. Now, I want us to begin from what has actually brought in a lot of uproar and jitters from a section of Kenyans, the cost of this particular trip.
The first point that you need to understand is this. Ruto is not the first president of Kenya to go to America. Uhuru went almost 3 times. Kibaki went once. They all used commercial. Nothing could have stopped him from flying to New York using KQ. Once he arrives in New York, he can organize local transport arrangements. He could even charter a plane from New York to Atlanta if he felt that he must go to Atlanta. There are cheaper options available. He just felt he's not being frugal. He's being extravagant. But in this American visit, the elephant in the room which we are not being told about, which Kenyan people need to understand. You've been told of the goodies, so-called goodies that are coming.
Yes.
Ruto went to China. We were told of so many goodies that are coming. He's gone to Europe almost 30 times. So many goodies coming. These goodies never arrive. But we are now focused on discussing the cost of the trip and the so-called goodies. But what we should be discussing is what are the Americans getting in return? What concession did we make?
Of course, that has been a question here. We do not know whether these were loans, whether they were
grants
or donations or whatever.
Whatever it is, you are claiming you had a series of meetings with the Americans and you asked for certain things. What did they ask in return and what did you concede? And why I say this is very important Kenyans to understand. Dennis Onsarigo did a documentary on the effect of cancer in the Upper Eastern Belt, Marsabit, affecting Rendiles, Boranas, coming all the way to Meru. That region leads in incidents of cancer amongst the people in the country. And in his documentary, he did indicate that they traced that there was some nuclear dumping that took place in Marsabit when Moi was president. And the period when the alleged dumping of nuclear waste by American companies took place was around the time, just after Moi had also visited the same America. This was the trip that led to Minister Ouko's death. Now, could it be that part of what, because Moi also came back and told us the goodies he got from America. He never told us what concession he gave to Americans. Could it be that he considered that they can dump some of their nuclear waste in Marsabit? And we are feeling the effect of that dumping 30 years today with the high incidence of cancer in the region, as documented by Dennis Onsarigo. And for your information, no one in government has ever come out to rebut what Dennis Onsarigo expose was about. So I am persuaded to believe that this dumping, because you cannot dump nuclear waste in Marsabit without the knowledge of government. Number 2, Kenya government does not have nuclear reactors. We don't expend nuclear energy. So that waste could not have come from Kenya. So it came from somewhere. And which is this somewhere that it could have come from? All links are pointing towards the only country that have nuclear reactors. And the one that we had visited, our president visited around that time, was America. Why didn't the government see it necessary to investigate? Could it be that Moi had secretly conceded and signed that the American companies could dump nuclear waste in Kenya? So it is important when somebody tells you have gone to another country and have brought you all these goods. It is important that the question you ask him, now that you've gotten us all these goods, as you claim, What have you given them in return? What have you conceded to in return?
But that has not been put
No.
forward.
That should be the question that Kenyans are asking. That what have you conceded to? What have the Americans gotten in return? That's the question they should be asking. Because without that question being asked and an answer given, you should not stand up and say the trip was successful. Successful in terms of what? What if, I'm not saying they did, but what if they signed that they're going to be giving the kidneys or an arm and a leg of all Kenyans to Americans? Will it say that even if they gave us 100 trillion, that will be a good deal? So bring everything on the table. Tell us, this is what we signed, we are getting. This is what they signed, they are getting. Then we assess. Is it a win-win situation or is it a win-loss situation in this particular instance? So I want Kenyans to refocus their critique of the trip beyond just the cost of the trip, because you are being led into a rabbit hole to chase squirrels when the devil is resting somewhere in the details. And those details, where the devil resides, you may find will have catastrophic effects in the country. And where I say this, because even around the time when Kibaki went to America, again, they didn't make public the concessions to Americans. But around that time, there was a reporter, international investigative journalist, who traced American military landing rights somewhere in Lamu for the operations. Could it be that was the concession Kibaki gave? But after that, an investigative piece found they did that. What then has Ruto given them? Is he giving them a military base? Is he giving them land in this country? Is he making us their slaves? So we need to know those finer details.
So you're saying the concessions made by the president, which have not been made public here, maybe the big elephant in the room here?
They're actually the elephant in the room, because there's no free lunch in the world. So don't think that Americans, because this is our taxpayers' money. If at all the money comes, to be American taxpayers' money. You think Americans care about poor Kenya? That they're just dishing their goodies to poor Kenyans to feed on? When they do so, they have a very structured engagement. They have USAID here in Nairobi. USAID provides technical support and through civil society organizations and government, and these are made public. They've been doing it. But this other one, where are the details of the concession you've given to them? Because we know no right-thinking government will give you free lunch for nothing. If at all you got something. Okay. So the point you need to understand is, if at all they got something, we need to know what they got in return. It may also be a case of they just gaslighting us. There's nothing they got. Something about Coca-Cola, I can tell you here. The mission in Coca-Cola has nothing to do with setting up a new investment here. Coca-Cola is just bamboozling them to avoid paying sugar tax. Because the world, globally, is moving towards, and already 1 or 3 countries have introduced what they are calling sugar tax. They are saying, you Coca-Cola, you are using highly processed industrialized sugar for your produce. And studies and scientific evidence has demonstrated they cause the highest, they are the highest incidence of diabetes, hypertension, and other lifestyle diseases. So countries are now imposing upon them sugar tax. So they get a higher tax. But here, you want them to come. They've taken you to a Disney World kind of experience to bamboozle you. Then you don't adopt the global trend of imposing sugar tax. But you're comfortable coming to increase tax on our bread. And you're saying bread causes diabetes. Between bread and diabetes, between bread and Coke, which of the two has a higher risk of diabetes? It's definitely Coca-Cola. So maybe, did they sign an agreement with Coca-Cola in Atlanta to say, come and set up your plant and machinery, but we'll impose sugar tax? Kenyans should be asking that. In terms of the visit to Coca-Cola, we should be saying, Our government, through the finance bill this year, has told us they care about diabetes. And your product is a high-risk incident of diabetes.
Okay.
We want you to pay sugar tax, sin tax, as some people call it. Then, the concession is you can also come up and set up, build, bring your investment. But it will not happen. We are here and we'll see.
No, the kind of concessions that you are demanding for here have not been tabled, and we wonder if there are any. But then we've got the list of all the promises of goodies that the country is actually supposed to be getting from that particular visit therein. But then, why do you find it difficult to believe that America would actually be philanthropic enough and just decide to help Kenya in a way?
We have seen American philanthropy in play, and they've been doing it over the years. USAID is here, just here in Gigiri. USAID is here. We receive grants, we receive donations from the American people through the USAID structure. So I'm not saying Americans stop being philanthropic. They are philanthropic, and their philanthropy is through USAID.
So anything outside
and
that?
Whenever USAID is giving a donation for anything, even supporting a project, there are agreements signed with the partners, which can be publicly accessed from the partner. So we are simply saying, this one is being done outside the rubric of USAID. They have given you over and above USAID support. They are giving you this. Good. We accept. Now tell us, what are you getting in return? Because your philanthropy work, we know, is operationalized through USAID. Now that you've moved out of USAID, tell us the details of what are you getting yourself as Americans. And I'm not asking this question to the Americans. I'm asking it to our president and his people. Because the Americans don't owe us anything. Article 10 of our Constitution on accountability, principles of governance, specifically provides that accountability is one of the principles of governance. So account for us. You've expended our taxpayers' money to go to America. You've met on our behalf, allegedly, the American leaders. Good. The American leaders have given you the following things. Good. Now tell us the other side. What have you given them for you to receive all of this? And I always say, there is no free lunch in the world. It doesn't exist.
But luckily, this is not the first time that this country is receiving donations and grants from these foreign countries. We've received donations from Russia, from Ukraine. From
and I've told you, when donations are received, it is very clear. Donations which come through the development arms of those governments, they've come. USAID has America has USAID. United Kingdom, they used to have, formerly used to be called DFID agency. Japan has JICA. So they exist, we do. I'm not saying we don't, we receive donations. But they are structures that already exist, and donations have been made. This particular one is not being done through USAID. We are simply saying...
Is that the only reason why now they're raising, this particular one is raising eyebrows?
No, I'm simply saying, since this seems to have been a different agreement altogether, then make the agreements public. Just tell us what we've signed up to and what they're giving us in return. Don't show us one side of the document. Show us the complete document. What concessions have we given to receive this? Then we should be able to measure and ask, are we getting a fair deal? Or is this potentially a high-risk deal that will lead to deaths in this country? And I've given you Denison Sarigo's exposé. Marsabit is here. Meru is here. The video is on YouTube. Kenyans dying of cancer. Those are facts. High incidence of cancer in the upper eastern belt caused by radiation waste, radioactive waste. And the radioactive waste was allegedly dumped after a presidential visit to the same America. The America country, they have companies that deal with those kind of waste. I'm simply asking, did they dump them in Kenya? And if they did, with whose authority? And it's also a fact. The alleged dumping took place after a presidential visit to America. Was that the concession? If Kenyans were told everything about that visit and what we signed up to, I believe if they were told that you are going to dump radioactive waste, nuclear waste in Marsabit, Kenyans would have said, no, we don't want it. Stay with your money. And that is what we're asking now. If at all you've made a concession to the Americans, put it on the table.
Why are you strongly convicted that there are strings attached to this?
Of course, I've told you there is no free lunch anywhere in the world.
But of course,
And it's also a fact right now, the Niger junta have asked America to leave the country where they're running some base for some military activities.
But it's also a fact that it's not the first time we are receiving these donations.
But I've told you the
What
donations,
did we have to
the
concede
donations
back then?
we've received have been through USAID,
Okay.
which are agreements are available. Anytime USAID gives anybody some money, they have an agreement, project documents, and you know what they're going to do. And they're saying this one is from the development, the philanthropic arm of the US people. It's accepted. These ones were not discussions within the rubric of the philanthropic arm, USAID.
Okay.
Did you see the president anywhere meeting USAID?
No, not in any
Leadership.
because this was
No,
this was-
did you see?
this was a state to
Did
state
you,
kind
yes,
of
did you
meeting.
see a USAID representative saying we are signing, even if it's a state to state? You have USAID and MFA signing an agreement for support. They didn't sign.
We didn't see that happen.
So that I'm telling you, whatever they were signing, just make it public. Why is it so difficult?
According to you, as long as it's not done through bodies such as the USAID, then it means that there could be something fishy.
No. You're not getting me. My point is, if it was philanthropy, you have USAID in place. Sign with USAID the details of that philanthropy. You didn't. So this was not philanthropy. This was a deal between now the Kenya government and the American government. Correct, we agree. In essence, it may even be called a treaty, because a bilateral agreement, which will be tabled in Parliament under the Ratification of Treaties Act for us to know the details. As it is, you've told us what we are getting, allegedly, and I assure you will never get it. You've told us what we are getting. Can you tell us what the Americans are getting? Because in any contract, in any agreement, if it's not philanthropy, there must be consideration. We are giving you this, you are getting this. Just do that. It's very simple. But if it was philanthropy, why didn't you use the USAID rubric? Because American government donates money to USAID that is used to carry out their humanitarian work across the continent, across the world. You could have as well just done with USAID. CDC Kemri here is a USAID funded, partly funded, USAID funded project. We see what they're doing and we understand their interests. It's part of them also developing, doing their own research and developing their capacities. They're getting something in return when they support CDC.
Okay.
It's not free. It's not free. When they support CDC, Kemri, they're not doing it for free. They are simply investing money and they benefit from the research components of that project. And yet, that is done under USAID.
Okay.
Now, this one, you're telling us you're giving us all of this. Fine, we are taking it. We hope it comes. It will not. What are you getting?
Okay, now that's a question that we need to wait and see well answered. But of course, I think the only open kind of concession that we can actually see is our deployment of our police officers in Haiti to go and help in that particular mission. Of course, that also formed part of the discussion therein. I wonder what you make of maybe the president's response when it was asked about the same thing.
You know, the issue of deploying Kenyan police officers to Haiti, it stinks to the high heavens. And Kenyans have expressed themselves about it. Until now, we've not been told by the executive what is our strategic interest in Haiti. They can't tell you. So if they cannot explain to the people of Kenya the strategic interest of Haiti, why insist on it? That is why I say there are certain concessions that maybe have been made on our behalf that we don't know. Because why will you be obsessed in deploying people in Haiti when you have Baringo here, bandits? We even lost a general here in Baringo. northern frontier is in a mess. Why not deploy them here? Secure yourself first before you can go to that region. Why not their neighbors take the front stage? Okay. So these are things that Kenyans we need to look at what is called the bigger picture. Don't be caught up discussing a 200 million jet. And yet, the elephant is a concession that has been made that may lead to deaths of millions of Kenyans. Because it can happen. Okay. How many people have died from the dumping of nuclear waste?
So you're saying there is more than meets the
eye? Definitely, there is more
that
meets the eye.
Okay.
And our people need to be focused. You need to focus. And you focus by looking at the elephant in the room. What is it? Why didn't you give the money to Uganda? Or Djibouti, or Ethiopia, or Somalia? If it's a question of you're being philanthropic, they need it more than us. Okay. Our GDP is greater than theirs. So what is the preferential reason why we are being given? They love us more. We are not their neighbors. Uganda here shares the same geographical location as us. So you give it to Uganda, or Tanzania, or Djibouti, or whoever in Africa. There are many. So what set us apart that we are being given? Is what I'm saying. What set us apart is maybe we are giving something else in return. So we need to put our finger on that. What have we conceded to the Americans in this visit that makes them give us all this? What is the concession? Then once you know that concession, you are able to gauge and say, this visit has given us a win-win as a country. Or it is a win-lose deal. The Americans are benefiting more, we are benefiting less. Or we are benefiting more, the Americans are benefiting less.
So here we are actually talking about convergence of interests. The interest of Kenyans, of course, is already known. The other side is now what we are trying to interrogate.
We need to know their interest.
And know what we are actually considering.
And I've already told you, if you look at the Coca-Cola one, I've told you the interest of Coca-Cola. It's very simple. Is that our interest to bring more investment in Coke that causes high incidence of diabetes, hypertension, other lifestyle diseases? Is that our interest? Okay. So I've just given you the basic example. Coke, I've told you they're bringing up investing more money in Kenya. Good. They've done that. They're getting a market. What are they getting in return? Why don't we have sugar tax on Coca-Cola, processed sugar, industrial sugar, in our finance bill today? Okay. When the global trend is to tax it more. Because you're going to expend more money in your healthcare system to treat those who will contract diabetes or hypertension when they consume this product in high quantities. Okay. So just one, I've just picked one, and you can already see. It's not in our interest. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, an eye-opener, as the Wakili Willis Otieno here puts it. But here we are, the president is back with the bags of goodies. But what do we actually concede in return? That is a concern of Wakili Willis Otieno here. And he insists that there is actually more than meets the eye. Let's wait and see what we have actually conceded as a country with regards to whatever we've received as a nation as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the ground. We are still keeping tabs on everything that is taking place in this country. And of course, you can weigh in on this conversation and tell us what you think about what we've just discussed here. Allow me stop this conversation at this particular moment till we have it again. Have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.